Grand Theft Auto is coming to Netflix. Fallout is coming to Amazon. Hats are coming to Chocobos. Games are coming to your hands. And Lethal Company is really pissing off Activision.
As an aging gamer, it's not the Bracken or Flowermen or coil heads that scare me in Lethal Company. It's the lack of a pension.
Hi, I'm Josh, and that's a chocobold move, Cotton.
I'm Andy, and you are tuning into Video Game Tango. Welcome back, everybody.
Hello.
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 Hello. Hello.
Hi.
Hi.
We're here to talk to you about video games and movies involving video games and handheld
Games
consoles involving
involving
video games.
Generally involving video games. Because I thought I would start us off tonight with a Netflix announcement.
Yeah.
Now, Netflix announced today that they are going to be adding 3 Grand Theft Auto titles to be available for subscribers next month for their Netflix games. This is going to be the Grand Theft Auto Definitive Edition. So you're going to get Grand Theft Auto 3, San Andreas, and Vice City. I mean, that's cool. I mean, this is definitely like a really big get for Netflix. Now, I was hoping with I don't like this password sharing crackdown. So I was hoping that this was an attempt to be like, oh God, please come back to Netflix. As it turns out, Netflix is doing just fine and has gained 6 million subscribers since they did the password crackdown. So that's disappointing.
Hunky dory.
But guys, I don't pay for Netflix. Now, I've already bought these 3 games a combined 15 times across various consoles and yada yada. So I'm not going to pay the $12 or the $13 whatever Netflix wants. I'm not coming back for that. I might come back for Stranger Things. That's it. I don't see, like, this is kind of cool if you already have Netflix on your phone.
Hold on.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's the thing. One thing that hasn't, like, a very particular word hasn't been said in this story yet is that it is for their mobile game library.
That is true. It is for their. That's true. I did. That is important. I should have led with that. It is for their mobile game library. So this is going to be like your tablet, your phone. So you're not going to need a controller.
Nothing like playing a game designed for an aging console and controller
so like
on
that,
a mobile
and
phone.
Honestly, I see that as a problem initially because I've gotten I've gotten the Vice City on my phone before. You know, I've done that, and it was fine. The novelty of it wore off quickly though, because the controls were janky. You know, it's what. So I just don't. It's kind of cool. It's a big get for Netflix having like these like popular titles, name recognition. It's a huge get for Netflix gaming, and this adding this to, I think they have over 80 games in their library now. So they are really trying to get into this gaming market, and it's a huge get for them. But I don't know. In my humble opinion, I'm not gonna pay Netflix so I can play this on my phone.
I mean, it's not for us. We don't like.
Yeah.
It's like I really don't play any games on my mobile devices. And I know that you guys play some, but usually not like of the first person shooter variety or of the Grand Theft Auto like, right?
It's awful unless you're a child and like you grew up with this.
Yeah.
Trying to control anything designed for controller or first person shooter that's got 10, 12, 14 buttons and you have 2 thumbs to work with.
Yeah.
Half your screen real estate is user interface.
Yeah.
Right. You're playing Microsoft Excel with graphics.
Yeah.
Right.
And there are kids that are used to it now. That's like the only controller they've had. Right?
Also should be playing Grand Theft Auto.
Yeah.
Right.
But at the same time, like, you know, we started playing Grand Theft Auto admittedly younger than we should have.
Yeah.
But you know, we're getting to the point where like teenagers don't have consoles and PCs, so their main gaming experience is their phone or their tablet.
Yeah.
We're getting to that point where like that's you brought up that there was a game developer that put out their game on a PC and a console, right? And nobody knew how to interact with the PC,
No, the
and
kids.
some very rarely knew how to interact with the console, and most of them ended up trying to touch the screen, right?
The monitor.
Yeah. So, it's not for us. It's for a different generation.
Well, honestly, at this point, Netflix gaming launched, nearly 2 years ago, and data has shown that less than 1% of Netflix subscribers use the gaming.
Yeah.
So this is, and like I said, there's over 80 titles there now. This is like trying to get people to even use it.
Yeah.
Now, despite all that, Netflix still seems to have a rosy outlook on their gaming initiative here, despite less than 1% of subscribers using.
That's still a lot of people. That's not as much as they want.
Yeah, it's true. It's not as much as they want. But and that's on a daily basis, right? So it's the percentage of people who have used it a few times is probably higher than less than 1, obviously. But yeah. I don't know. It's neat. It's neat, I guess, is what I'm willing to give it.
It is more games for it's more for a service that you already pay for.
Yeah. If you're already paying, it's a cool thing, and if you somehow haven't played these games yet, it is an opportunity, I suppose, for a new medium. So it's definitely neat.
If you have Netflix and you like video games, you're listening to this cast, go play Into the Breach. They got the full deluxe edition for free on there. I still play that game. Game's old.
100%.
It's amazing.
Yeah. And it is a third-party title for Netflix. It's
arguably the one solid title they have in their library.
Yeah. So, I don't see... this might be sort of short-sighted, but I don't see much future in Netflix's gaming category. I don't know that even Grand Theft Auto can... steer that ship, but
yeah, I don't know how long it'll last before they can it.
Amazon's even having a hard time getting into the gaming sphere, and they're a much bigger company and throwing more money at it than Netflix. So, New World is doing all right, but all of their other attempts have been, not great. So other than their contributions with things like Twitch Turbo and stuff like that, they don't have a whole lot of success.
Well, I feel like the key difference is Netflix isn't trying to make games.
They're have and are.
Yeah, they're starting to, but it's going to be.
They straight up have a Stranger Things game.
Okay, that's fair, but it's like a little tiny Flash game, and it was kind of. I think I played it when at the height of Stranger Things, and it was whatever. It was all right. It was whatever.
Yeah.
I played it. It managed to hold my attention for 5 hours, 6 hours. So not bad for a phone game.
I suppose that's
they're doing. I feel like
true.
they're doing a lot more licensing right now, though. Right?
They have to. They've got to get some
their
popular third-party titles
obviously in
under
its
their
infancy. Right? It's still very small. But.
I was looking up some people's opinion on Reddit regarding Netflix's gaming, and the best comment I found was, "Shit's whack, but tight."
I love it. Beautiful. I changed my mind. It's going to be wildly successful, whack but tight.
Mm-hmm.
That's all we need to say. Moving on, I think. Yeah.
Yeah.
I want to talk about a video game that hasn't gotten a whole lot of discussion on this podcast. It's Final Fantasy VII Rebirth.
Oh, never heard of that.
No, I mentioned
Final Phantasmal. You said.
Mm-hmm.
Fantasy.
Fantasy.
Seven
Fantasy Phantasmal.
Rebirth. As much as I love the word rebirth, I've
never heard of
every
the
day. I happened to mention a couple weeks ago on the podcast that I was worried about their Chocobo. Bringing in Chocobos.
Chocobos.
Well, and because one of the things that made Final Fantasy VII as great as it was for me, and I think a lot of other people, was the Chocobo breeding. A lot of people spend a lot of time in Chocobo breeding and Chocobo racing. To get the ultimate summon, you had to breed the ultimate Chocobo, right?
Mm-hmm.
I was a little bit worried that they weren't going to be doing that in Rebirth, and they're not. But what they're doing instead, I think, is equally exciting, or maybe even more so. Final Fantasy VII Rebirth will be adding something called the Chocoboutique. So you're going to be able to get upgrades for your Chocobos via things like caps, barding, saddles, and bags.
Oh, like via like a stables or whatever.
Yeah, and there's going to be multiple stables throughout the world that you can do this in. The cool thing is at least to me, is they're bringing it back Chocobo hunt or like Chocobo treasure hunting. If you guys remember from Final Fantasy IX, I played a lot of the treasure hunting Chocobo mini game in Final Fantasy IX.
Remember it?
Yeah. So it looks like in the open world, you will be able to find Chocobo treasures with your Chocobo, and that is going to help you advance and getting more things for your Chocoboutique to empower your Chocobos, make them better for both the racing mini game and potentially we might see Knights of the Rounds return later on when your Chocobo can now walk across water or scale mountains and that kind of thing. So while it's not the Chocobo breeding that I was hoping for, like I was so into Chocobo breeding, I got a shirt said licensed Chocobo inbreeder.
Yeah, I remember.
Yeah, loved that shirt because that was one of my favorite mini games to ever happen in a game. And yeah, I mean, it added probably another 30 hours worth of gameplay for me. So I went crazy for that stuff as a kid, and even into my late teens, early 20s. And I'm glad to see that they're doing something that's Chocobo related in Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. So I think that adds to the replayability because something that 7 Remake didn't really have was a lot of replayability. You could replay it to play it on a harder mode, but that was really it. Other than the DLC, there was no real reason to come back to Final Fantasy VII Remake.
Gotcha.
So I'm glad they're upping the replayability of Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. So, and that's it for that one.
Well, I've played it, gentlemen.
Yeah,
Deadly Business. Deadly Business is the game of the year.
I've heard of this game.
It's not. I'm lying.
I mean, it's
The Ruse. It's Lethal Company.
Oh, I mean that is Deadly Business.
It is Deadly Business. What do I say about Lethal Company? Well, let's go into this knowing that I am like a 40-year-old dude. So keep that in mind as well as the salt. This game is fun. It's a blast. It's a blast in the way that zebra gum is a blast. It is an overwhelming sensation of hilarity and horror that, unless you are two specific types of gamers that I'll cover in a minute, you're going to enjoy for maybe 2 or 3 nights at most. It is, I believe, word around the office, made by one dude. Very impressive. Also, at one point, it had outsold, if not continues to, the newest Call of Duty. It is an indie game. It is a kind of, not phantasmophobia.
Wow.
Phasmophobia-like. And I cannot say how elated I am that this little indie game is outperforming a AAA game.
Yeah.
Salute to you, person who made this game. I should have looked that up, but it made me very, very happy. I picked it up with my brother and a few of his friends, and we've played for a few nights, and we had some absolutely wild, hilarious moments. What is the game? You are a lowly employee of a company, and your job is to land on these moons with old, ancient industrial station buildings and enter them and find whatever loot you can find to return it and sell it to meet your essentially weekly quota. The problem is that these moons are covered in heebie-jeebie monsters of all sorts and variety, most of which can easily kill you in one hit. So it has a similar feel in that where in Phasmophobia you start in the van and you have your like man in the chair, you have that here. You have a spaceship. There's a camera that one player can, essentially radio information to the other people going around to the ruins trying to find loot. It works on a day-night cycle that is very, very, very quick. You have roughly 8 to 10 minutes in the mission before things start going south extremely quickly and the monsters start showing up at night. You have a quota to meet. If you meet your quota, you get to do it again with a larger quota. When you meet that quota and sell your goods, you get money you can then use to buy stuff to make your trips easier. More than likely, you're going to die and lose all that stuff. It is fun. Is it hilarious? Like, we made a quota once because I found a Rubik's Cube and a whisk, and that was just enough money to break even that particular mission.
Darn.
It is janky in the best way. It has this amazing PS1 aesthetics to the graphics. We've been playing we're in Discord, but you mute yourself because the in-game audio works extremely well.
Yeah, that's something that I was really impressed by in watching other people play.
By extremely well, I mean the in-game audio works amazingly as horror audio should, which means your proximity voice chat, you can hear people nearby. Hearing muffled screams and then silence is great. It's very easy for someone like the man in the chair to be giving you instructions and for your teammates to be shouting over them and you don't hear. It's part of the fun. I think we made it to like the third quota one time, which is like 8-9 missions in. If you're really good at the game, you can start paying for the right to go to more difficult moons that have better loot, but more strange and evil monsters. There's a lot of little Easter eggs in the game. The game does not take itself seriously. I've had a blast. That said, I'm kind of over it. And I'm over it for the reason that I'm not one of these two gamers that I was talking about earlier. So this game is, again, amazing the first couple times you play it. If you can play it with people that haven't played before or you haven't played it, give it a shot. It's $10. It's worth it. Think of it like buying a movie ticket to a movie, right? You're going to enjoy the hell out of yourself, especially with your friends. And that kind of person who's just playing this for the social aspect. It's fun to be scared. It's fun to scream and just enjoy the experience of a bunch of interns trying to survive a wildly difficult job. Do that and have fun. Or two, you're the kind of person that realizes this game can be made efficient. You can try to get really good at it and see how far you can push yourself with, as thin an inventory as possible, going into missions with what little you need, knowing the routes, setting up shortcuts, learning how all the monsters work, what their weaknesses and strengths are, how to avoid that, working together, making sure you're communicating well. The problem is that trying to find a group of friends that is either A or B is very difficult. Some people just love enjoying the fun, hilarious horror aspect of it. Some people want to do really well. And it's probably not going to be common that your group is fully A or B, which can cause tension, right? Just like any game where it's like you can get good at this, but other friends of yours just want to have fun.
Sorry.
I enjoyed it immensely, but once I realized there is absolutely zero meta progression, I've experienced the majority of the monsters that I've seen in the early levels, combined with the extreme difficulty. This game is not easy. You are going to die. You're going to die repeatedly, and every time you die, it sets you back. You only have 3 days to make quota, and you're lucky like if only one of those 3 days everybody dies. Right, especially in your first couple of nights playing. So yeah, no longevity for me. Then again, like this style of game is not my jam. I did not like Phasmophobia. I think I got one night of enjoyment out of it before I felt like I'd parsed what the game was offering and I didn't want to experience any more of it. That said, there are already mods out for the game. There's a mod that can allow up to 32 players at once. The game normally caps out at 4. If someone told me, hey, friend X just picked up the game and hasn't played it yet, do you want to play? I would say absolutely. Like, I want to be there to experience it if or you play or any of our friends.
Because that's the content.
That's
right?
the content,
Yeah.
is being spooked with your friends, and it's a lot of fun. That said, just a suggestion, if you're the kind of person that wants to be super good at a game like this, do not frustrate yourself by playing with people who are new, right? Find some online randos. There's a good multiplayer lobby system, and just find a group that actually wants to do well and stick with them, because you're gonna run into contention, because it's very easy to do poorly in this game. Like our starting missions, we just try to figure out what to do. You spend half the day just finding where the fucking base is to go into to get the loot. And then by the time you get in there, you grab your first thing, it's already nighttime. If you leave the building, you're screwed, right? but yeah, we've had a blast. It's just go into it knowing that things are going to go south. You are not going to do well, and you need to enjoy that aspect of it. But yeah, that said, it's $10.
Yeah, it's $10, and from one maybe developer, and you know, or a small team. And for me personally, like, you know, you talked about your experience with Phasmophobia. You played, you know, once or twice, you know, for a few hours. I played a
it
lot
more than 3 or 4 times.
Yeah,
so
I played a lot of it. I find a lot of replayability in these types of games, and not even necessarily that I'm like getting any kind of meta progression. I generally like the quasi random nature of these games, and just I think it's a fun time playing with friends. It oftentimes ends up getting very jokey. You find ways to like kill each other in the most vile way, and yeah, sometimes it can be just like an immense amount of fun. I've also had nights of Phasmophobia where I was just like bored out of my mind, but yeah, it's a mixed bag even for me. Like I do genuinely enjoy these types of games. I tend to drop them. Like I play them real hard for like a few weeks, then I'll drop them for a while. But basically, like Phasmophobia, every new patch, I play the bejesus out of. So
yeah, like I said, it's Z program. You're going to enjoy the hell out of it for a handful of chews, and then it's going to get stale until they add something new to the game. If this is made by one guy, and we should have done our due diligence, looked that up, apologies, the stability of the game, I've had no crashes. I've seen no bugs. It's janky, don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
Stuff clips through walls and things ragdoll funny, but those aren't bugs, right? It's surprising.
Yeah.
But
I'm really looking forward to getting my hands on this one. I know immediately the group of people that I want to play this type of game with. That happens to be my coworkers. You know, we've played a lot of Phasmo together. I've
you guys
got
are really
few
gonna
hundred
enjoy this
hours.
game,
Yeah, definitely. I think this is a gimme for us. Most of them are already playing it. I'm late to the party, but come payday, this is like an absolute buy for me. Yeah.
If you're that type of person that wants to enjoy the hilarity and the horror of the game, I just highly recommend you do not spoil the game for yourself. There are 1,000,000,001 videos of people playing this out there online, and don't get me wrong, they're hilarious.
Yeah.
But you're subconsciously going to be inuring yourself to all the surprises the game can offer if you watch them. And it's just like using cheat codes in an old video game. It's fun for an hour, and then now that you're bored of the game because you've experienced its limits, right?
Yeah, that's why
throw that out there.
I've been very careful to select what I've watched of it so far. I will watch little bits in here and there, but we're showing it on screen right now, like actual gameplay of the game from one of my favorite streamers, Sarah Moore, and I made sure that I selected a little bit that really does not show any spoilers. Mainly just shows off the graphics and some of the basic mechanics.
I
So
don't think I've even seen an enemy on screen.
no, not yet. That was on purpose. So I scrubbed through this just to make sure that you don't know exactly what you're getting into and you don't get anything spoiled. So because I do think that's important, because what I understand is there is a way to deal with all of these things. And I think some of the fun is
There's a way to deal with some of them.
Yeah, okay, sure, yes. But you know, I don't want that spoiled for me. I want to. That's part of the fun for me is figuring that out. So, yeah, looking forward to playing this a lot. Sounds like you had a good time, but I saw this and I kind of knew the experience you were going to have. Really intensely fun for a couple nights and then drop it. But
Yeah.
it sounds like it's absolutely worth the $10 at the end of the day.
Yeah, honestly, at that price point of $10, just to show the big boys what's up. I mean, if I played this for 2 nights, I'd pick it up for $10, right?
Yeah, I mean, you pay $15 for a movie ticket. If you play this for 2 nights, that's way more entertainment than a single movie.
Yeah, way more entertainment, and this is obviously a labor of love here. So, I mean, if you dig a Phasmophobia style game at all, oh my goodness, like give this lone dev or this small team, give them the support that they deserve. Holy smokes, this is incredible. Like it looks like a lot of fun. I think I'm gonna pick up my copy tonight.
Yeah,
I'm down to play it with you.
yeah. Even when you guys pick it up, we should stream it.
Yeah,
100%. Yeah,
Fun
absolutely.
to watch other people play this game.
Absolutely. Let's go ahead and move on, Josh.
Yes.
you've
So
got our next
I
story.
talked about talked about Netflix and gaming, and then we mentioned how Amazon was struggling in getting their gaming off. So let's talk about their TV and gaming. So there is a Fallout show coming, y'all. We got a little teaser of it in 2021, I think, 2022, last year, I think. We got a little, just an announcement, just, war never changes, right? Well, guys, it is happening. We've gotten a lot of Vanity Fair did a write-up on it. We got some really good looking photos because there's been some leaked videos, and all of that has so far been looking like that stuff is correct. So if you've seen it, it's pretty accurate. What excites me about this is there's a pretty good cast already. My man Walter Goggins of Justified fame.
Walton Goggins.
Walton Goggins, excuse me. Is going to be a ghoul, and he looks pretty accurate, pretty Fallout accurate as a ghoul. Still a little more fuckable than you want a ghoul to be. But I get it. It's a TV show. You need them a little.
I don't
fuckable.
think you're allowed to make them.
I get it. I get it. The Pit Boy looked great. So sticking onto the cast for a second. Sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself. We got Kyle MacLachlan of Twin Peaks fame is going to be the overseer of Vault 33. I can't remember her name, but she's from Yellow Jackets, of super popular show on Showtime.
She's Ella Purnell.
That's the one. So a pretty stacked cast, just like right from the get-go. I like that. But everything looks so good on the sets. There doesn't seem to be a huge amount of CG, but seeing the Brotherhood of Steel in their power armor, seeing a Puritan-esque kind of airship, all the vertibirds and the vertibirds, those look amazing. Everything is looking so cool. Now it's Amazon, so there's a lot of money behind it. It's gonna look cool. Where it worries me is we all saw Lord of the Rings. That was that was the most beautiful
Rings of Power, to be specific.
Yeah,
right?
Rings of Power. Excuse me, Lord of the Rings of Power. It was beautiful, but it was not good.
It was a cold turd for me.
Yeah. This looks so good.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not gonna hold my breath. Like, I always hope they're good.
Also, what is neat about this is Todd Howard has confirmed that the show will be canon. So we know it's going to be some more things that we know is that we know it's going to be Vault 33, which is a vault that we really haven't seen before. Okay. But this story is going to coincide. It's going to tell its own story, but it's going to be able to be interweaved with the stories that Fallout has been telling. So it is a canon story.
Yeah, there's a lot of room to play.
For sure.
I haven't covered most of it.
And we do know that now that it is taking place in, at least to start, in the greater Los Angeles area.
Okay. And do we have an idea when this is coming out?
Yeah, so far we know that it's being released in April of 2024. It looks like April 12th, 2024.
It's coming up quick.
Yeah, man.
Quick enough that I'll forget about it, and then it'll be here.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Just like Dune's happening for me.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's
soon. Dune's exciting for, like, we all saw the first one. We know that's we know that's gonna be good.
Yeah. Well, we got one more thing to talk about. I want to talk about handhelds. I like talking about handhelds because I was right. Handhelds are taking the fuck off, man. So, interestingly, Valve said that they wouldn't be putting out a new Steam Deck anytime soon. When asked recently about whether they had plans on a refresh or a Steam Deck 2, they effectively said no, there doesn't seem to be much reason or much need for it. They're happy with what games can be played and the specs that, the settings that they can be played at, and the availability of games. And what they want to focus on is just making sure more games are playable on the Steam Deck and that compatibility is as high as possible. We've also got new competition. We talked about the Rogali, or the ROG Ally from ASUS. We've also got new competition in the ring, which I got some hands-on with pretty recently, called the Lenovo Legion Go. This one does set itself apart just a little bit.
A lowly Go.
Just a smidge. So it's using the same AMD Ryzen Z1 Extreme that the Rogali is using.
Is that a graphics card or a processor?
It is both. So it's a system on a chip. So it does.
Processor.
It's a that's right. It's a processor. So this one is being sold for $750. That is $50 more than the Rogali. However, what you get with that is a terabyte of onboard storage, which is twice as much as the Rogali comes with for an extra $50. Not only that, but versus the ROG Ally's screen size, which is some 7 inches, with the Lenovo Legion Go, you're getting an 8.8-inch display.
Oh.
It's also 16 by 10 instead of 16 by 9 aspect ratio, giving you a little bit more height, which I think is a good thing for a mobile Windows experience. Lenovo Legion Go, just like the ROG Ally, is using Windows, full-fat Windows 11. And that comes with some positives and negatives. Negatives being that battery isn't great. Windows isn't optimized really for the handheld gaming experience yet. Yeah. However, we'll get to that in a few minutes. There are some things that Microsoft is doing to address that. So a couple of cool things about the ROG Ally is that it does, with that big fat display, it does come with the ability to go to 25.
You said the Ally?
Sorry, with the Lenovo Legion Go.
Okay.
It does have the ability to go to a 2560 by 1600 resolution. That's a really high resolution for that display. I imagine because it's using the same processor as the ROG Ally, that it's probably not going to be a great gaming experience at that resolution for more modern games. However, you can reduce your resolution in game or even for Windows. So that's something that has been addressed. It does come with 144 hertz refresh rate. So I think this is going to be really, really good for things like emulation or older games. Like you get a larger display, better refresh rate for older games. So I think especially like platformers, it's going to be a big boon. What it does differently, the sides of the device are actually fully detachable, much like the Switch. So you can play it. You don't have to hold the entire thing for long, like extended periods of time. You can go ahead and set that on a table if you're at a desk or a table, and play kind of remotely in your hands wherever they want to be. But the right side actually has a mouse sensor on the bottom. You hold it very much like a joystick. So it's a vertical mouse. It's a little bit weird to use at first. But it comes with triggers very much akin to a joystick. So I can almost see this being like a fairly good joystick experience. But it also allows you to play first-person shooters with effectively a mouse. It also does give you a little bit more granular control with Windows because you're using a mouse. The mouse form factor is a little bit weird. I think that is going to take some getting used to. I can't speak much to the quality of sensor used in the mouse. That's not on its like specs sheet. But in my use, it was perfectly adequate. I definitely didn't get enough time with it to get comfortable with a vertical oriented mouse. But it is something that it is doing different and something that we might, hopefully see the others do.
Choice not to just make it horizontal.
Well, it's just because of the form factor. It would be a little bit weird horizontal because it's meant to be gripped like this, right? So, they definitely wanted to. It's a very comfortable handheld to hold. It's actually arguably my favorite handheld to hold. I find it to be really comfortable in use for long sessions. But yeah, they wanted to make sure the ergonomics were still there for handheld mode. So I think that's the reason they didn't go with horizontal mouse. And also it's their first go at it. So there's room and time for improvement potentially.
Hopefully.
Yeah. That said, I think it's very competitive. I think the pricing is there as well. I think it's competitive pricing both with the ROG Ally and the Steam Deck. Steam Deck got a big upgrade too. It got a new OLED display, and while the internals stayed the same and the pricing stayed the same for the pricing of the old Steam Deck, you now get an OLED display. Much more vibrant colors, but also what comes with it is while the processor specs remain the same, they actually shrink the nodes from 7 nanometer to 6 nanometer, making it much more efficient. It's reported that people are getting up to 20% additional battery life with a new, brighter OLED display on the new Steam Deck. And on top of that, it comes with Wi-Fi 6E, so the download speeds are way faster than they were on the original Steam Deck, like up to 2 times as fast as they were on the original Steam Deck, which is phenomenal because that was one of the issues that the Steam Deck had, was an older Wi-Fi chip. And then, if you're used to PC gaming proper, you're used to really fast Steam downloads. Well, now you really do get that now with the updated Steam Deck. So what I mentioned earlier was Microsoft's compatibility on these handhelds. There is a new Xbox app coming that is going to be, I think, a big boon, especially if you use the Xbox services and subscribe to their services. It's literally a handheld format. So Xbox is fully diving into this handheld gaming market, and they're putting out a new and fresh application to run for any Xbox gaming apps, which could be you could use it as your launcher for your non-Xbox games. Giving you a little bit more of kind of a Steam Deck feel. So
they're releasing an app for handhelds that's an Xbox app.
It's not even a new app. It's actually just a setting in the Xbox app that already exists. It's called Compact Mode. It's going to be enabled on these handheld devices by default from now on. You can still go back to the old app if you want to. But yeah, it's just meant to be a better UI
just a
scenario.
mobile version of their webpage.
Effectively, yeah. Which is, I think, is needed for these handhelds. I think the ones running Windows, the experience can be a little bit weird because of its form factor and the fact that it's using Windows. It's not a custom experience like the Steam Deck does. I think the Steam Deck really does do it right. Yeah. Whereas there isn't like a Windows equivalent for that, except for using Steam. So it's nice to see that like Microsoft is like, okay, we're really looking at these handhelds because they're selling like gangbusters. The ROG Ally was a huge Christmas hit this year, sold off the wall like immediately. And with competition like the Lenovo Legion Go, like we're getting ASUS and Lenovo. These are the guys that make ThinkPad. The guys, the guys that make all the ROG gaming stuff. They're big names, getting in on this trend, and they're flying off the fucking shelves, even at a $700, quasi premium price.
That's expensive.
Yeah, it's not cheap to get into, but it is a good alternative for those that don't want to get into the $1,500+ gaming market, right? Where if you want to build something that's going to play essentially equivalently. You've got to get kind of that expensive in the PC gaming market. So I think it's a good option. And I think all of these options are good. And the amount of attention that they're getting from these companies, I think also shows us that this is a space that's probably not going away anytime soon and may only just get more popular as time goes on. So yeah, I just wanted to talk a little bit about the new Lenovo Legion Go and the Steam Deck OLED and the improvements coming to handheld gaming devices. And we've got some, like, there's actual competition going into this space now. And it's a sector that I think we should be paying attention to going forward for sure.
This is to me, this is kind of exciting for gaming laptops as well, because these are for a top of the line gaming laptop. You're like $1,800. right?
I mean, it depends on the kind of experience that you want, because you can get gaming laptops starting at about $900, but the sky's the limit as far as price goes.
Right, sky's the limit as far as price. But you can get like for me, I'm thinking about this. If I travel or something, I don't want to bring my laptop, like I don't want to bring. I certainly can't bring my desktop, but bringing a whole laptop, it can be clunky or something. This is handheld. This is going to fit in my carry-on.
Yeah.
Like I don't have to check anything. It's going to be easy. And I can see this, but I also see this as competition for those higher priced gaming laptops and them having to make some pricing compromises, because it's like, well, if I'm going to spend $1,200 for what amounts to a good entry level gaming laptop, I get this handheld guy for about $500 cheaper.
Yeah. No, you're absolutely right, because at this point, like if you're buying a gaming laptop specifically for gaming and you're not looking at doing much else on it, this is a great alternative.
You should be looking. You could reasonably be looking here now.
Yeah, 100%. So yeah, I mean, unless you need the additional functionality that like a mouse or a trackpad brings you, which a couple of these already have trackpads on them, or just having a full keyboard would be really the only benefit to a gaming laptop, other than a larger display. Yeah. So these are a good alternative. You're right. Not even just for a gaming experience, but like an alternative Windows experience as well, especially the form factor and the fact that like, you bring up travel. That's a great point, in that, whether at this point, if you have the latest iPhone, your USB-C, you can use your iPhone charger to charge your handheld device. You no longer need to lug around multiple chargers. You could literally keep one charger on you at all times. These things are also rechargeable with battery banks, which most laptops aren't, because they require too much voltage. So I think it's an interesting space, and I think it's something that we should definitely keep our eyes on as it evolves. But it's I think it's especially cool because it's at the end of the day, this is the PC sector. It might be handheld, but this is the PC gaming market expanding, and I'm all about that.
I mean, and already with the competition of the ROG Ally, and now we see the Lenovo Legion coming in, Steam Deck, excuse me. Fucking Steam Deck is already, you talked about, like, they made it more efficient. They're like, we're making it more efficient. We're adding in some new chips.
But they saw their competition, and they're like,
competition. It's like, all right, well,
they said
double down.
Well, the ROG Ally for another $50 has a larger screen and an OLED display at that. And the Lenovo Legion Go is even bigger, only $50 more than the ROG Ally, and it comes with an OLED display as well.
We're going to be seeing upgrades in this space, because it's like you said, there's a tight little space here, and the competition's already fierce.
Yeah,
it's exciting.
I wouldn't be surprised to see Microsoft put their own product in. I mean, with compact mode for the Xbox app, that's the first step into them deciding that they want to get into the hardware game part of this sector and subsidize a handheld console, because they're selling their apps on the Xbox service. So, that seems like the best way for them to sell Game Pass at this point. So, I mean, I really wouldn't be surprised that we're going to get even more competition as time goes on. The longer this sector lasts, I think the more competition we'll get. Hopefully, they keep it open, much like they mostly have. I mean, Steam Deck aside, it's running into its own operating system, but with the Windows versions, the ROG Ally and the Lenovo Legion Go, keeping kind of an open platform using something like Windows, I think, is imperative to it. So hopefully we don't see trimmed down versions with single stores on it or anything like that. All that said, I just think it's really interesting, and as I stay updated on this topic, I plan on keeping everybody else updated.
Oh yeah.
Well, guys, do we have anything else we want to talk about before we go?
I think that about did it for me. Boy, I got to talk about Fallout and complain about Netflix and Grand Theft Auto a little bit. Fuck, man.
Yeah, dude. Talk about little dudes in yellow jackets dying to monsters. It's a good time.